of the things that we have seen is, I'll give a quick example of DRC, for example. We know that DRC, the Inga Dam, is a huge project where a lot of money was borrowed to build a dam. Yet we know that the communities that actually stay there have no access to electricity. This dam has displaced women up to now, caused them to migrate, caused them to also live in conditions where they are really unacceptable, yet it's a mega project. It's a project where it has indebted the country of DRC. So I think those are some of the examples where you find that DRC, like only 10% have access to electricity, and the actual community, Matadi, has got only 2% have access. Currently, I'm actually speaking from Zimbabwe, where we are working with the community in Binga, and they were displaced during colonial times to build the biggest hydroelectric dam for Zimbabwe for electricity, the Kariba Dam. But you find that the communities in Binga who were displaced more than 40, 50 years ago still do not have electricity. They are still living in rural conditions. Their economy is around fishing, where they actually do not even have access to fishing licenses within the dam. And this is a dam which borders Zambia and Zimbabwe. So I think those are some of the nuances which we don't seem to find, or we don't seem to connect a lot, or have enough space to talk and to speak about in forums like or processes like the UNFCCC. So when we're talking about colonial legacy, and I really like what Ahmed talked about, reparations, I think it's important for us to really see how these displacement of huge projects, currently there is that campaign of Don't Gas Africa, where we are seeing a lot of exploration. It could be in Kenya, it could be in Uganda, Namibia, Botswana. We are seeing a lot of exploration for gas, exploration for the batteries that we use for the new talk around renewable energy, clean energy, the solar, the materials, the technology for producing the batteries. We don't own that technology, but the raw materials, we own the raw materials, the cobalt, the lithium, yet we are not even going to be benefiting. So I think the false solutions around where we are going in addressing the climate change is something that we really need to look into, but also ensure that we are centering the communities, we are centering women, we are centering the local and indigenous languages as well, and communities around that. I think Ahmed talked about COP26, COP27, that will be looking at, I think one of the things that I just wanted to emphasize is how, even as we are going into the COP, how do we create more voices from the African continent to be able to disrupt the space and not really legitimize some of the processes. We saw in COP26 how there was the largest delegation was from fossil fuel companies. We even saw, for example, South Africa government being sponsored by like Sasol, a big energy, companies, private sector companies. And we have seen, even as we are going to COP27, that there is a lot of restriction for civic participation, and the likelihood for getting a space such as the UN, a multilateral space that gives equity to voice, to be able to bring the issues and the nuances around communities that are being displaced, and the whole discourse that will be taking place around COP27. I also wanted to maybe speak a little bit around so what is also worrying around the investment that most governments, issues around carbon credits, how most of the governments and the whole infrastructure around it is not really well understood. It's not designed on the continent, probably in the Silicon Valley, and how it's almost like a form of illicit financial flows, looking at who really benefits from some of those who really is benefiting from some of those carbon credits, how they're calculated, but how they're also pushing investment into social and public services where we know most of the women are located. That is where most women farmers, in terms of the public services, in terms of the agro economy, are also present, and how that, that discourse is not also capturing that. I think maybe just to end, I think we really need to ensure that there is actual participation and that we are not siloing issues. I mean, when you look at the whole interconnectedness around the climate issues, how they affect issues around water and sanitation, they affect sexual reproductive health and rights. It's a trade issue. Women are centered to trade. The same countries that were pushing and blocking TRIPS waivers for HIV and AIDS are the same ones who were blocking for COVID treatment. They are the same ones who are also not allowing free trade or recognizing the inequalities. So I think when we really talk about the link and the nexus between climate and between economic justice, between debt, I think it's important for us really not to silo how connectedness the struggles are, but I think most importantly how women are really centered into that. And the key issue is around issues of care and unpaid care work and unpaid labor, which results from the displacement. If there is a climate crisis, it is the women who are displaced. It is the women who are at the forefront in providing care, in providing labor. But yet, even when it comes to supporting them, or even supporting like reparations, like Ahmed mentioned, most of the times, if the data being collected does not recognize female-headed household, we see women being invisible and not even benefiting from it will be the damage and loss that is then provided.
Policies and